Welcome to the Evans Effect. Hi, I'm Maurice Evans, CEO of Elite School Management and CAO of the Service Learning District, where leadership truly matters in the educational space. Today we have a very special guest, a gentleman that I've been knowing for quite some time. As a matter of fact, I like to say I've known him when he was knee-high to a grasshopper. Mr. David Robinson, President of Technology for the Elite Group. Welcome, David, to the Evans Effect.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So, David, as everyone don't know, our relationship really expanded over many decades. I knew you when you were a young man, really coming up through our church affiliation.
Absolutely.
And you were a great guy at that time. But, kind of talk about, some of the things that happened once you graduated, or really let's start with your high school, where you went to high school at and how you progressed through that and where you went from there, please.
Sure. No problem. I went to high school at St. Mary's of Redford High School.
Okay.
It was just happened to be right down the street.
Okay.
So I loved that school. From there, and that's actually where I got first introduced to computers. My senior year is when they first brought in computers into the school.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
I just kind of clicked for me.
Okay.
So left there, went to Eastern Michigan. After Eastern, also studying in computers and stuff. After Eastern, I went to the Pentagon in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because you joined the
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, how long were you in the Air Force?
I did 4 years in the Air Force.
Okay.
I graduated top of my class and was hand-selected by the Secretary of Defense to come run his computer network systems in Chin.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive. So during the time that you were at the Pentagon, I know you and I joke about it a lot in regards that you can't really kind of expound on a lot of things that went on there.
Yeah.
Who was the president that was in office at that time?
President Bill Clinton was the president.
Okay,
then, yes.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you get a chance to meet President Clinton?
I did on quite a few occasions. I also did work at the White House.
Okay,
But yeah, I met Clinton on quite a few occasions. Great guy.
okay,
Great president.
yeah.
And people that don't know, there's no one higher than the Secretary of Defense but the president.
Okay.
So I work directly for the secretary and his team, and the president. Of course, ultimately is the commander in chief.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And so from there, I know that you actually spent 4 years with the Air Force, and then you came back home and decided
I
to
did.
continue on with your technology knowledge and understanding. Tell us a little bit about that. When you came back, what was it that you looked forward to getting involved with?
I really look forward to coming back and making a difference. That was my mission. I'm like, okay, I went, I got all this knowledge, I got all these Microsoft certification. I was getting, and I'm not bragging or anything, but I was getting offers from all over the country.
Okay.
But the crazy thing about it, I was getting offers from everywhere except for Michigan.
Wow. Really?
Yes, but I still came back.
Right.
I just came back and no job, new wife, new baby on the way and stuff and whatnot. But I actually, 2 days later after I got back, I got a call that said, hey, we don't even care about interviewing you. We just want you to start tomorrow.
Wow.
What's your background? Yes.
Okay. And what company was that?
That was a company called CNA Insurance. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was.
Yeah, I know it very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had an opportunity to go work with them.
Yep,
and
I worked with them. I worked with quite a few other companies too. It was contracts and whatnot. And then I got a call from EDS,
Okay.
Electronic Data Systems, and they wanted to hire me. I went in and worked for them. I worked for them for 8 years.
8 years.
8 years. Yes.
Wow. I tell you that's a long time.
Yeah.
But you've been very instrumental in helping us in our technology in our school district.
Right.
One of the things that I remember is when it was time for me to take over the school district on a full-time basis and manage it. You were my first call.
Yeah.
I actually called you in and said, David, I need you to come in and take a look at what we're doing technology-wise. And you had to go out and do an assessment.
Yes.
And that conversation it's kind of funny even to this day when you came back into my office and you said, hey, look, well, we got some issues that we need to kind of correct here.
Yes.
And you kind of explained to me what was going on. But what I was very, very impressed with is that your commitment to the educational piece, how you were very dedicated in making sure that the children, were getting the right type of understanding about technologies. Because at that time, back in 2012, 13, you had, really been out into the private sector doing a lot of work with inside school districts and school buildings with the technology and stuff. What were some of the things that you saw that really made you want to kind of stay, in tune with the educational piece for our community?
I going out into the sector, into all these different schools and stuff whatnot, you saw the lack of technology, and especially in our inner city schools. And I saw there's such an injustice for that. You don't see that in the suburban schools. You saw it in inner city schools. My kids, they're in their 20s, late 20s and stuff now. But when they were in elementary school, they didn't have any books anymore. Everything was on their iPads and stuff. And I didn't see that in our school. And I felt like we needed to bring that technology and stuff to our inner city schools because, they should have that privilege and that opportunity as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be instrumental in making that happen.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I must say you have been. I mean, because I know that we have meetings, on a regular basis in regards to how do we truly impact our educational community, our kids with technology. Kind of explain to our parents and audience on how you set our schools up with, I think you call them cows. I mean,
Yes.
you can kind of, break that
Yes.
down to that for everybody.
Cows is computers on wheels. And they're basically, it's a cart in every classroom. So every kid has access to one-to-one technology. So there's no kid in our district that does not have access to technology, and they constantly now, especially today, use it on a daily basis. So everything is on computers these days. They even all their testing and everything is on. There's no more paper and pencil testing. It's all computerized.
Right.
And it's just the way that the world is today.
Right. I know that you were a very big advocate in regards to going to that one-on-one technology.
Yes.
I know that you and I have had, many meetings and also along with Dr. Walker
Yes.
in the importance of making sure that our children, had a leg up, on the technology piece, especially, in the inner city. One of the things that I was very impressed with you is that you started this really, I would say back in 2015, 16, really kind of drilling down on how we had to make sure that our kids had on one-on-one technology. What was your vision with that? I mean, how did you, see that as being something that we needed to be really involved with?
It was kind of just the foresight of seeing where things were going, seeing where the industry was going, seeing where education was going. And at that point, it was you either do it or you get left behind.
Right.
And that was the last thing I wanted to happen here, is for you guys to get left behind, any of these kids to get left behind.
Right.
You kind of working in the schools, you see so many different kids coming from different backgrounds and, atmospheres outside of school. So you want to make sure that while they're here, you give them whatever benefits you can,
Right.
for them to be successful.
Yeah, and I know that we've been talking, and I know that you and Dr. Walker have been working very diligently in putting the plan on taking our kids to a 2-to-1
Yes.
Technology piece. Kind of explain, what the 2-to-1 means to our students, but also the value behind that.
Okay, absolutely. 2-to-1 technology is they have a device at home as well as at school, so they don't have to take it back and forth. And it allows them to be able to do assignments and research and everything at home. Because once they leave the building, we don't know what their home environment is like. We don't
Right.
know if they have computers, if they have technology, if they even have internet.
Right.
So, and the one thing that we've been able to do, that I love about this district, is that even if they don't have internet, we're providing hotspots for them.
Right.
We're taking on that extra burden of making sure they'd be successful with
Right.
that.
Yeah. I know that you worked very closely with a couple of our partners T-Mobile, I believe,
Yes.
is one of our major partners when it comes to hotspots. And also you're working with a couple other technology companies to make sure that we get the one-on-one technology or the two-to-one. Now, our children are really not using laptops per se, but they're very involved with, I think it's Chromebooks, am I correct?
Correct,
Yeah.
Chromebooks. The reason being, Chromebooks, we have more control
Okay.
over what they're doing and what they're accessing as opposed to the laptops. We do have, we use Google Classroom,
Okay.
which, you know, it's a wonderful tool and stuff, whatnot, and it encompasses everything that they need to do within that. And of course, the Chromebooks they're all Google too, so that's perfect for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know we have talked about through the educational process of, getting our kids ready for that next floor, that next level of even doing some type of study guide on their at-home device, so they can
Right.
go home and maybe have a class or two or a tutorial that they can actually read up on to
Right.
help them when they come back to school. Kind of talk a little bit about the background that it took educationally for you to become very in tune to technology. I mean, that's something that a lot of us we talk about. We want our kids to be involved, but what was it that really drew you to that point?
I would say technology kind of recruited me. You know,
Okay.
it's something about it that it just makes sense for me. You know, it's a constantly learning because it's constantly changing, it's constantly evolving. But it really was something that I saw and I kind of sparked an interest, and I'm like, hey, this just kind of makes sense to me. Whether it was programming, whether it was making websites, the physical hardware of it, software creation, everything. It just kind of just all makes sense to me. And I don't know if it's just the way my brain think, which may be a problem. I don't know, but it's like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know that for a fact that, when we have conversations about technology, your passion is to make sure that not only that the students understand how to use the software and the hardware, but also that our staff members know how to use it also to be very effective in teaching, and delivering the right curriculum to the student. Also you have a team of young men that work for you. I know that we're always in the recruiting mode of hiring more people. We're looking for a couple young ladies out there that's looking to get in technology. Please reach out to the Service Learning District. But tell me, what are some of the things that you look for and when you're looking to hire a technology person? What are some of the skill sets they need to have coming in and working in a school district?
Okay, working in the school district, you need to have, you got to have a love for technology. You have to have a eagerness to learn. You have to want to constantly learn more, constantly expand your knowledge, and you got to have you got to be kind. You got to be, everybody's not going to know what we know. Everybody's not going to get it. You got to be patient. There has to be patience in that. Now of course I do look for, when you have some technology background, where did you study? You have some certifications, industry certs, and stuff. But even if you don't, if you're willing to learn, we can teach you.
Right.
We will teach you.
Right. Well, listen, we're going to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to kind of talk about, all the technology that we have in our schools and how your passion and your vision and truly your drive and staying, in meetings with myself, making sure that the vision comes to pass. When we come back with Dr. David Robinson.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Evans Effect, where education matters. We're sitting here with Mr. David Robinson, President of Technologies for the Elite Group. And David, you have a very large footprint in our organization, not only with the school district, but also with our corporate side, other businesses that we operate. We know how important technology is for everyone to be involved with. Kind of give us an idea of some of the things that you've done with inside the school with a lot of our, I call them message boards, but you have a different you have a different terminology for them. Kind of give us a vision of what's going on in our schools.
So each school, as soon as you walk in, you have video walls. And the video walls basically are telling you all of the different things that's going on in our school. It's giving you pertinent information. It's running commercials, advertisements and stuff about what you're doing. You know, we have a concert coming up. It's going to show that as well as on the video walls, it's in the message boards in our schools. Not only that, we got digital signage outside. We have just a wealth of things going on as far as technology within the school district.
Right, yeah. And the video wall, I have to commend you that was something that you and I kind of talked about. I mean,
Yes.
I had an idea of what we wanted to have, but you really put that idea into play. You really brought it, forward where, our parents can be inside the school and get pertinent information in regards to what's going on in that particular school,
Right.
which is vitally important to all of our parents. Now, one of the things that I do want you to kind of talk about is, we invested quite a bit of money in regards to our esports room and
Yes.
also our computer lab room. Even though we have children that have cows, computers on wheels, we still have an esports room, and then we also have a technology computer lab, which teaches a few different things like 3D printing. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. The esports, to many people that don't know, it's electronic sports, it's gaming, but it's actually geared towards education. And it's a worldwide thing that's going on with the esports. They got different leagues and stuff whatnot. And it's kind of the next phase of where technology is going when it comes to schools and kids and gaming. And I know sometimes we think, oh, they're just in there playing their Xbox or whatnot, but it's a bright future for some of those people that play those games and and even the back end of the programming and stuff that goes into creating those games. The computer labs, speaking of programming, the computer labs were put in to teach different programming languages, to teach drones and drone programming, and different coding is what they were put in for. That's what we're going to use the computer labs for, even though the kids do have the one-to-one technology as well.
Right. Yeah. And so one of the things that we talk about on a regular basis is that the importance of keeping our kids in front of what technology can help you with. We have we have a lot of smartphones out here. We have, like you said, a lot of the cows, computer on wheels. We have the video boards. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we do on a regular basis is that we always try to make sure that our kids are very knowledgeable on handling that technology, because it's expensive. But when you're looking to impact education, you should not always look at just the dollar amount that you're spending out, but also at the return on the investment that you have with the kids. One of the things that I've always been very, very, impressed with you is that you've always made sure that the kids understood the importance of taking care of their technology. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, exactly, because it is an investment. It does cost money. It's not a toy, okay? So we wanted to make sure, and especially when we first rolled it out, because the kids aren't used to having it. So we did have some breakage and stuff we did, but we did a lot of training and stuff, and we'll go in the classroom and say, listen, and it's not really laying down the law, but it's saying, hey, this is how you care for it. This is how we had to start with the teachers to show them and teach them how to do it so that they can be our eyes and ears when we're not there.
Right.
Yeah, because my team, we can't be in every classroom and everywhere, but the kids get it now. They understand that I need this, and this is helping me. and it's a tool.
Right.
You know, so
Now, I know one of the things that we haven't spoke about is the technology that we put together under our technology company,
Yes.
Elite Technologies. We have software that we're selling for esports and different other gaming systems and stuff. But one of the things that I was really impressed with is that we kind of had the conversation about 3 or 4 years ago in regards to having our own data lab,
Data center.
data center,
Yes.
and you actually put that together. Can you kind of elaborate on the what it took to get it where it is today, and how it has been impactful for our school district because of the things that we do on a regular basis with technology?
Absolutely. The data center, it's offsite, and I wanted to make sure it was an offsite data center, and we built out the data center basically as a backup, as a because there was a lot of hacking going on. There's a lot of cyber attacks going on, and I'm like, we need to make sure that if something happened, we can recover, and as well as a place for us to back up the data and kind of track where the kids are going throughout their educational lifespan. And so we migrate all of that data as well as the everyday data that we have to go through to the data center.
Right.
Yes.
And so the data center also allows us the opportunity to help keep track of our children's scores, test
Yes.
scores, and the data, and kind of track them as they go from third grade to fourth grade. Kind of see where the trend is, and them operating that. The other thing that you did for the organization, we have a command center.
Yes.
About a week or two ago, we had our chief of security, Chief Roger Grind, on the program, and we talked about the command center. But you were instrumental in putting that together, because we talked about it on how do we make sure that all of our kids are safe, but you had to actually make sure that it was implemented. Kind of talk to me about how you actually got it all completed throughout all 3 schools, and
Yes.
because and we're about to open up our 4th, so you're going to be very busy in putting that
Right.
together there. Can you kind of speak on the command center and how many cameras we have and things of that magnitude?
Yes. So the command center, it's if you've seen like NASA, or you've seen pictures and stuff, and it's a state of the art thing, and we actually stream live video from each one of our sites, real time, and we can do playback as well, and it actually shows real time at any time, all of our cameras, all of our sites, because security is a big thing, especially in schools and stuff. Unfortunately, we're at that era where you gotta keep these kids safe. You gotta keep everybody safe.
That's true.
So
That's true.
we make sure that the security was top priority.
Right.
If your kid comes to this school, and honestly, it's like nothing I've seen in any other schools. It really is. And I commend you for even suggesting it and stuff whatnot, and coming up with the idea. But it's a wonderful thing, and we have hundreds of cameras throughout each one of these schools, and we can see them real time.
Right. Yeah. And then it was also, in doing that with the command center, you were very instrumental in making sure that our buses,
Yes.
all 9 of our buses have cameras on it, so we can actually take an opportunity to monitor, our bus drivers, and making sure that kids are being let off in a safe place and things of that.
Right.
How did you actually, begin to think in development? I know I, came to you, everybody tells you that I'll say we can build airplanes in the sky, and I walk out the room and say, get it done. And,
Absolutely, yes.
you always make sure that it happens. But, the importance of having those cameras on our buses and stuff, that was something that I know was really dear to your heart, because you went in and put, 3 or 4 buses? I mean, how many cameras do we have on a bus?
Each bus has 5 cameras.
5 cameras, yeah, wow.
And not only that, it's also GPS tracking on the buses. So,
Okay.
We wanted to make sure that from the time your kid gets on the bus until the time we drop them back off, and that is on the bus, in the schools and whatnot, that we have them covered. We have security footage, and we're monitoring it, real time. And we want to it's just about the safety of it. And even if a bus was to God forbid, get into an accident, it kind of alerts the authorities and stuff, and lets us know that there has been an accident. I mean, the tracking is all the way down to how fast the buses are going.
Right.
and we can track it as well.
Right, which is vitally important.
Yes.
You know, I constantly think about, you know, how we are so well focused in on the technology piece of the organization, but also the schools, because we know and understand, you know, that kids have to be prepared to go out here and not only compete nationally, but globally, you know, because there's a lot of different opportunities out here for kids to be able to understand technology, especially with these smartphones
Yes.
being out here. Kind of speak a little bit in regards to the coding program that we're putting together over at our Redford location right at this time in one of our computer labs. I know that that was a very in-depth passion of yours.
Yes, coding. Of course, we do different programming languages and stuff that we are teaching the kids, and we're tying it back to show them, okay, this stuff just doesn't work. It don't just, you know, you don't put the pieces to the phone together and just say, here it is, and it's just going to work. No, there's programming behind it. Every piece of technology, every operating system, it's the base line of it. It's programming. So someone has to sit there and write the code and stuff to make this work.
Right.
And so we want to make sure that we are teaching the kids the proper way to even have a career with coding and programming. So we go through all of the different programming languages and show them exactly from start to finish, okay, you're starting with this and this is the outcome of it.
Right. Yeah. You know, and that's so important, you know, for our community, because once again, if we don't introduce our children to, you know, technology and get them to understand that this is what's needed in order to be successful in today's society, then we're not doing our job, you know.
Right.
And I know that it's just so important to me that we have a group of individuals like yourself that sit around our exec table and really have open dialogue, you know. And a lot of times if people were to come in and see one of our meetings, they think that we don't like each other. But that's the furthest thing from the truth. What it is that we truly love each other and we truly respect what each other does, you know, in the organization. Mr. Robinson, I want to thank you for coming out today.
No
you
problem.
have been such a blessing to our organization, more of a partner, you know, with myself and the organization. And I just know that we have greater things to do here
Absolutely.
at the Evans Effect.